we believe as Muslims that the Quran was revealed in this month, and Muslims are also asked to engage in fasting and to celebrate their spirituality through fasting in this blessed month.
You know, if there's anything that Muslims can do right now during this global pandemic is during Ramadan is to have our compassion shine. We're always very humble about giving back. We always do service projects, you know, giving zakat, giving back through charity is critically, you know, so much part of who we are as Muslims.
We definitely need funding for meat, for chicken, because those are expensive things to purchase. Any of the hygienic things that, you know, normally any of us would use. That's all really important right now at this time. I'm kindly asking people to consider Zaman to be their charity of choice for their tithing. So for their zakat or you know, the religious tithe, if they could help Zaman, since it's all about basic and essential needs.
A lot of Muslims are coming together to buy PPEs, you know, protective masks and gloves, and even folks coming together talking about swabs. You know, how can we get more swabs because we want more people tested? I know that we can do it. We can work with healthcare, frontline healthcare workers, making sure they get fed.
I know many people are upset and they're sad, and you can almost say I respect that feeling. I respect that you know, their sincere intentions of wanting to be part of a larger group, wanting to congregate and come together. But we also would like to revisit the act of solitude. And this is truly rooted in our tradition that there has to be some alone time. And the act of solitude was, you can almost say, a ibadah, an act of worship that was performed and embodied in Ramadan, because the Prophet received the scripture, received the Quran in the act of solitude when he was alone himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. So it's reviving that act of worship that we've neglected in times where we're completely distracted with our gadgets and what's happening around the world, and completely neglected ourselves.
You know, you're gonna miss the iftars at somebody's house and the gatherings in the garage. Yes, I know you do that. In the yard, the front porches, I know. And I want you to be able to do all those things, but do what my mom does. She FaceTimes all of us kids all at the same time. Be, you know, creative in how we do it. It might be through a screen, but I think it's still, you know, you could still be able to love each other virtually and have them be present virtually, but please be careful.
We believe as Muslims, the night of power is the night in which the Quran was revealed. So this is why Muslims really engage in a lot of worship in the last 10 nights. The night of power is an individual act of worship. So it's not, people are only motivated to do it in the mosque because it's done in congregation and people like the voices, people like the prayer. But in the end, all the acts of worship that were prescribed for us in the month of Ramadan are individual acts of worship. People can find ways to donate, to help people in need, to volunteer on different capacities, if they could have their own social groups. Get involved in anything that draws you closer or brings you closer to God.
I know that it's a time for high anxiety. I'm a nurse, I do end-of-life work. I know how hard it is to just lose a family member, let alone lose a family member that you can't see. But even in the darkest of times, there really is hope. And we have to hang on to that hope because it's seated in every human heart. And just as we've gotten through other things in the world, pandemics and epidemics and war and famine and hunger, we will get through this too. I just hope that we emerge on the other side as a kinder humanity and as a humanity that recognizes how interconnected we are.